Who are you?
My name is Susie. I'm from Curve Lake, and Otter is my clan.
Is this an otter?
That's an otter. That's the last otter that my dad ever killed, caught in a trap. He was a hunter, trapper, and that's what he did for a living.
My great-grandpa?
Yeah, he was 81 years old when he passed, and all of his life he was a hunter and a trapper. Our whole family would go up the lake in the spring when it was time to get the muskrat. Muskrat were the ones that he got in the springtime, and he'd take the whole family up the lake, and we'd live in a tent for 2 or 3 weeks.
In the winter?
In the spring, it was cold, but in the tent there was a little stove that he made, and then half of the tent was straw that he traded the farmers in Anishnaabe. He traded them for fish. So he brought the straw, and then they put cedar boughs on top, and then our blankets, and that was our living area. It was like 3/4 of the tent. There was a big log there, and that's where we sat and ate our meals. It was a wonderful time. He just had a little motorboat, but there was just a little wooden bridge there before. He'd have to pull the boat over the bridge to get over onto the other side.
That sounds so different from how things are now.
Oh yeah, sometimes we'd have Easter Bunny would come there, and we'd get a stick of gum, 1 stick of gum and 2 or 3 jelly beans.
So you guys celebrated Easter like from a young age?
Oh yeah, from early 50s.
Since as long as you can remember?
As long as I can remember, we celebrated Easter, Christmas, Mother's Day, Father's Day.
That's interesting, just because do you think that was influence from the church and stuff? Or?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, because we had to go to church. Sunday school, a big part of our lives was church, so we didn't really even practice our own religion.
Except for the lifestyle.
Yeah, except for that and the language. Everything else was church oriented.
Did you speak the language in church?
No, and we didn't in school either. We weren't allowed to in school, even though we did.
Privately?
Mm-hmm, and outside at recess.
Okay, so you grew up in Curve Lake. What was your childhood like?
I spent my whole life in Curve Lake except for 10 months. So we didn't have any street lights. We didn't have any roads. There was roads, but there was no pavement. We didn't go far because our parents were pretty protective. We lived on a side road and on almost like a peninsula, and that was our spot, and we spent a lot of time playing house in the back, making choke cherry and mud pies, and we went to school in Curve Lake till grade 6.
Curve Lake School? Is that what it was called?
Mud Lake Indian Day School it was called, because Curve Lake was known as Mud Lake first, and you went there to grade 3, and then the other school where the band office is now, that was the big school. They had a teacher's residence there, and the teachers lived right there.
And they were non-native teachers?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we didn't have any native content, I don't think.
Was there religion and stuff in the school?
I can't really remember. I just remember the teachers were kind of mean, some of them. And that teacher would use these chalk things for the blackboard thing, or to rub off the chalk.
Yeah.
And if somebody wasn't listening, he'd whip them things at people.
Oh my gosh. I know growing up in your generation is really different from now, but is there anything from your childhood that hasn't changed at all? That's still the same today?
Everybody walked. Because we didn't have any.
No bus or anything?
No bus or any bicycles or anything like that, so everybody walked everywhere. But I remember everybody used to be friendlier. They helped each other more, because everybody was poor by our standards now. If somebody asked you for something, you gave it to them. Mm-hmm. Flour.
Do you think that people don't ask for stuff if they need it now, though?
Because now they have the food bank and that kind of thing, so.
Right.
So you don't have to ask your neighbors.
So do people still live off the land the way your dad did? Or what's kind of been maintained?
I think there's a couple people in Curve Lake who still trap. I don't know whether they eat what they trap like we did. I know we do. We get the deer, the moose, the berries if we can find any.
Fish.
Yeah, fish. It's hard to catch fish because there's hardly any now, and there's so many weeds on the lake. When we were small, you could see right down to the bottom.
Really?
Yeah. And we always used to fish and swim.
Did you drink out of the lake?
Oh yeah, that's where we got the water for washing clothes. And winter or summer, you went and got water out of the lake, and you're once a week bath in the tub. most people didn't have running water or hydro. And it was always cold early in the morning because it was, the fire would go out at night, the wood stove would go out in the night, and when you'd get up it'd be really, it'd be really cold. Yeah.
Why do you think it's important for people to still like hunt? Do you think that like it's important like spiritually and like culturally?
Like I was told that Creator put those animals on the earth to feed us, especially the deer, because we use every last bit of that deer meat, and the hoofs were used for other things too, and the skin, and that if we no longer use the gifts of the Creator, does that mean we no longer need the Creator? It's what I was told long ago, and you really think about that, eh? Because those are Creator's gifts, as long as you respect them and use them for what they were intended. Life was a lot simpler, it seemed, than it is now. And people, it didn't take much to make somebody happy.
Do you think that's from gratitude being center of focus?
You were always taught, like, be
Yeah.
thankful. There's Indian words for that. There's Anishnaabe words for that.
Like what?
Tabgantang means be satisfied. And we were always told that.
Does that like directly translate to that, or is it kind of a little different?
Well, for the Curve Lake dialect, Tabgantang, that means be thankful.
Like be happy?
grateful.
Be grateful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though my parents had to work in the summertime because there was a camp across the lake where they worked for the most part. My mom did house cleaning for cottages and that, for resorts. And in the wintertime, she'd make all kinds of quill work, birch bark quill work and baskets. In her spare time in the summer, they'd go around to the cottages and sell those. And that's what she'd use for Santa Claus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she made beautiful things. I don't know how she ever managed to do it because we only lived in a 3-room house and there was like 8 of us in there. I managed.
Yeah. So when you like reflect on growing up and like the lifestyle that your parents taught you and stuff, is it mostly positive or do you get negative sometimes, or mostly like you're grateful for that?
Really, I don't see any negative about it. It seemed better than it is now because I find people are not satisfied with things nowadays. No matter what it is, they have to be negative about it. That's not a good way to be. If you want to find negative, you'll find it. But if you want to find positive, you'll find that too. And even though it was hard, it was a good life. And I think things gradually changed as we got television and telephone and all that.
New technologies made you like live differently?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I remember when we first got our television, it was when the guy stepped on the moon, you know, that I think it was like 1969.
That was when you first saw television?
Got a television.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There was a neighbor of ours who had a television and we'd go over there. My mom used to go there and she liked baseball. She kept a score sheet on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. On all the games she did that.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an incredible day and we'll see you next time.